I'm Eleanor Ashton, daughter of Ashton Pictures, born and raised under the blinding lights of Hollywood. My name carries weight, power, legacy, but also a cage. People look at me, see the glamour, the red carpets, the private jets, and think, I've got it all. God, seriously? They don't know what it's like to live in this golden prison, every move watched, every smile judged. You're an Ashton, they say, like it's a blessing. It's a curse too, and I've carried it my whole life. I grew up in the heart of Tinseltown, where dreams are made and broken on the same soundstage. My father built Ashton Pictures from nothing, a scrappy studio that clawed its way to the top. By the time I was born, we were royalty, untouchable, or so I thought. As a kid, I'd wander the studio lots, dodging cables and lights, watching directors scream and actors cry on cue. It was magic, but it was also a machine. I learned early that nothing in Hollywood is real, not even the smiles. Still, I loved it. The chaos, the creativity, the way a single frame could make your heart race. I swore I'd make my own mark, not just ride my family's coattails. Then I met Marcus. Oh, Marcus. Back then, he was this indie director with a chip on his shoulder and a fire in his eyes. Not the polished, suit-wearing type you'd expect in my world, no. He was raw, passionate, always scribbling ideas on napkins, talking about authentic storytelling like it was his religion. I fell hard. This is it, I thought. A love that's real, not some scripted B-movie romance. He wasn't after my name or my money, at least that's what I told myself. We'd stay up all night, him pitching me his wild ideas for films, me dreaming of producing them. I was hooked on the way he saw the world, like it was ours to conquer. Looking back, I was such a fool. Played me like a damn violin. We got married in a whirlwind, against my parents' warnings. He's not one of us, my mother said, her voice sharp as a blade. But I didn't care. I was 25, in love, and stupid enough to think love could beat the odds. For a while, it did. We had Olivia, our daughter, 8 years ago. She's my light, my everything. Those green eyes of hers, sharp and curious, see right through the Hollywood haze. She's smarter than I ever was, always asking questions, always watching. Mom, why do you work so much? She'll say, and I'll laugh, but it stings. I look at her and swear I'll do better, be better, not mess this up. Marcus and I built a life, or at least I thought we did. Ashton Pictures funded his first big break, a gritty drama that got some buzz at Sundance. I was proud, maybe too proud. I thought we were a team, unstoppable. But this last year, something shifted. Marcus changed. He's not the man I married, not anymore. He's distant, always distracted, obsessed with this new game-changer project he won't shut up about. And then there's Lila. God, Lila. This actress turned screenwriter he's been raving about, calling her a visionary, a genius. Every time he says her name, it's like a knife twisting in my gut. She gets my vision, Eleanor, he'll say, like I don't. Like I'm just some suit who signs checks. At first, I brushed it off. Work, I told myself. Just work. He's passionate, that's all, but then I started noticing things. The late-night texts he'd hide from me, the way he'd close his laptop when I walked in, the excuses for why he's out till 2 a.m. meetings, he says. Meetings, my ass. I'm not blind. I see the way he lights up when he talks about Lila, the way he brushes me off when I ask questions. It's like I'm invisible in my own marriage. Can you believe this guy? I've given him everything. My heart, my trust, my family's resources. And now I'm sitting here wondering if I'm the idiot in this story. The doubts creep in at night, when the house is quiet and Olivia's asleep. I'll pour myself a black coffee, no sugar, and sit in the dark, staring at my reflection in the kitchen window. My face looks older these days, tired. Where did you go wrong, Eleanor? I whisper to myself. Was it me? Did I push him away? Too focused on the studio, on Olivia, on keeping the Ashton name untarnished? Or is he just another Hollywood sleaze chasing the next shiny thing? My chest tightens like someone's squeezing my heart. I want to scream, to confront him, but I don't. Not yet. I keep telling myself I'm overreacting, that I'm paranoid. But deep down, I know something's wrong, something's broken. Last week I caught him texting her at midnight. I was half asleep, rolling over in bed when I saw the glow of his phone. He angled it away quick, like he was hiding something. "Who's that?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Just work," he muttered, not even looking at me. "Work, sure." I lay there, staring at the ceiling and my mind racing. I wanted to grab his phone, demand answers, but I didn't. I just lay there, feeling like a stranger in my own bed. God, I'm such an idiot. I keep clinging to this idea of us, of what we used to be, but it's slipping through my fingers. Hollywood's a place where trust is a luxury, and I've always known that. But I thought Marcus was different. I thought we were different. Now, I'm not so sure. I look at Olivia, sleeping peacefully in her room, her stuffed rabbit tucked under her arm, and I feel this ache. She deserves better than this. She deserves a mother who's not falling apart, a father who's not whatever Marcus is becoming. I don't know what's coming, but I know one thing. I'm Eleanor Ashton, and I'm not going down without a fight. Not for him, not for me, but for her. Christmas was supposed to be our reset. A week at our Palm Springs villa, surrounded by twinkling lights, warm desert air, and the promise of family. I'd been clinging to that hope like a lifeline, telling myself Marcus and I could fix things, that we'd laugh and love like we used to. God, what a joke. The moment we stepped into that sprawling house, with its glass walls and mid-century charm, the air felt heavy, like a storm was brewing. My parents were there, their eyes boring into Marcus like they could see right through him. My mom, with her perfect posture and icy stare, barely spoke to him. My dad, all gruff charm, kept his distance, but I caught him muttering, "That boy's trouble." Marcus didn't even try to play nice. He was cold, detached, like I was some extra in his big-shot director's life, not his wife. Can you imagine? The man I married treating me like I'm nothing. Olivia was the only bright spot. She ran through the villa, her green eyes sparkling as she hung ornaments on the tree, giggling about Santa. "Mom, do you think he'll bring me a camera? I want to make movies like Dad," she said, her voice so full of life it hurt. I hugged her tight, trying to soak up her joy, but my chest was tight. Marcus barely noticed her, too busy on his phone, probably texting her. Lila. That name was a splinter under my skin, festering. I kept catching him stepping outside to take a call. His voice low, secretive. "It's just work, Eleanor," he'd snap when I asked. "Work at 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve." Sure, Marcus, the tension was suffocating, but I kept it together for Olivia. We baked cookies, watched The Grinch, and I smiled so hard my face ached. But inside, I was unraveling. Every time Marcus brushed me off, every time he avoided my eyes, it was like another crack in the life we'd built. I wanted to scream, to shake him, and demand answers, but I didn't. Not yet. I was still hoping, stupidly, desperately, that I was wrong, that he wasn't betraying me, betraying us. God, seriously, how naive could I be? Then Olivia changed everything. It was the day after Christmas, late afternoon, the villa quiet except for the hum of the pool filter outside. I was in the kitchen, slicing oranges for a pitcher of sangria, when she tugged at my sleeve. Her face was serious, those big eyes wide with worry. "Mom, I need to tell you something," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder like she was afraid Marcus would hear. My heart sank. "What's wrong, baby?" I asked, kneeling to her level. She bit her lip, hesitant, then pulled a small external hard drive from her pocket. "I found this in Dad's bag," she said, her voice trembling. "He was looking at it on his laptop and he kept looking at you, Mom. It was weird, like he was mad or something." My stomach twisted. I forced a smile, ruffled her hair. "It's probably nothing, sweetie, just work stuff," I said, but my voice cracked. "Olivia didn't buy it. She's too smart for that." "Just look at it, okay?" she said, pressing the drive into my hand before running off. I stood there, frozen, the cold metal burning my palm. Part of me wanted to toss it, to pretend she'd never given it to me, but another part, the part that's been screaming at me for months, knew I had to see it. I had to know. That night, after Olivia was asleep and Marcus was out meeting a producer, I slipped into my dad's study. The room smelled of leather and old books, a sanctuary from the chaos. My hands shook as I plugged the drive into his laptop. The screen lit up, and there it was. Folders labeled Lila's Ashton Project. I clicked, and my world collapsed. Hundreds of emails, texts, voice memos between Marcus and Lila. Not just an affair, though, God, the flirty messages made my skin crawl. No, it was worse. They were plotting. A documentary script to smear Ashton Pictures, to paint my family as corrupt, greedy moguls. Plans to take Olivia, to claim I was unfit. Financial records showing Marcus siphoning money from our accounts, funneling it to Lila. It was a betrayal so calculated, so vicious, I couldn't breathe. I sat there, tears streaming down my face, my hands trembling so bad I could barely scroll. One voice memo stopped me cold. Lila's voice, smug and sharp. Once we ruin Eleanor, we'll have everything. Olivia, the money, the studio. Marcus laughed, and said, "She's too busy playing the perfect wife to notice." My vision blurred, my chest heaving. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I couldn't make a sound. I just sat there, drowning in the truth. My marriage, my life, it was all a lie. I'd been played like a fool in some twisted Hollywood script. I don't know how long I stayed there, staring out the study window at the Palm Springs lights twinkling in the distance. They looked so soft, so far away, like the life I thought I had. I remembered our wedding day, Marcus slipping the ring on my finger, promising forever. I remembered the way he'd kiss my forehead, call me his muse. It was all fake, every second of it. My heart was shattered, but something else was rising through the pain. Rage. Pure, burning rage. Marcus thought he could destroy me, destroy my family. He forgot who I am. I'm Eleanor Ashton, and nobody plays me and walks away clean. I closed the laptop, wiped my tears, and took a deep breath. The pain was still there, sharp as a blade, but I wasn't going to let it break me. Not yet. I thought of Olivia, her worried little face, and I knew I had to fight. For her. For us. Marcus and Lila wanted to write my ending? Fine. But I'm the one holding the pen now, and they're about to learn what happens when you cross an Ashton. Back in LA, the city's pulse felt like a drumbeat in my chest. The Hollywood sign loomed in the distance, a reminder of the empire I was born into and the war I was about to wage. I didn't sleep on the drive back from Palm Springs. Olivia dozed in the back seat, her little hand clutching that stuffed rabbit while I gripped the steering wheel, replaying every email, every voice memo from that damn hard drive. Marcus and Lila thought they could bury me. They thought I'd crumble. They forgot I'm an Ashton and we don't break, we fight. The next morning, I called an emergency meeting at Ashton Pictures. My parents and Miss Sterling, our family's shark of a lawyer, sat around the polished mahogany table in the boardroom. The view of the city's skyline stretched beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, but all I saw was red. My mom, ever the ice queen, folded her hands and fixed me with a look. "Eleanor, are you sure about this? Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment," she said, her voice calm but cutting. My dad, though, was fire. He slammed his fist on the table, his face flushed. "Nobody messes with the Ashtons. That bastard's done." For the first time, I saw the full weight of my family's power, and it was terrifying. Can you believe it? I'd grown up in this world, but seeing them ready to go to war for me, it was like watching a machine roar to life. I didn't cry, not anymore. The tears dried up somewhere between Palm Springs and LA, replaced by something colder, sharper. I thought of Olivia, her worried eyes when she handed me that hard drive, and I knew I couldn't falter. The Ashton name wasn't just a legacy, it was a shield, and I'd use it to protect her. "I'm sure," I told my mom, my voice steady. "He's not just cheating, he's trying to destroy us. I won't let him." Miss Sterling nodded, her pen already scratching notes. "We'll need everything," she said. "Every email, every text, every cent he's touched. We'll bury him legally." My dad's team was already on it, digging into Marcus's finances, his deals, his secrets. I wasn't just fighting for me anymore, I was fighting for Olivia, for our future. While Marcus and Lila were busy playing their little game, thinking they had me fooled, my dad's investigators tore their world apart. They found it all. Marcus had been skimming money from Ashton Pictures projects, funneling it into fake accounts for his visionary documentary with Lila. He was drowning in gambling debts, hundreds of thousands racked up at private poker tables in Vegas. He'd even threatened one of our studio's partners, some low-life move to strong-arm a deal. And Lila? She was no innocent muse. She had a history of cozying up to rich men, bleeding them dry before moving on. A total sleaze just like him. Every new detail was a punch to the gut, but it also fueled me. They thought they could outsmart me. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Still, there were moments I wavered. Late at night, when the house was silent, I'd sit in Olivia's room, watching her sleep. Her face was so peaceful, so untouched by the ugliness I'd uncovered. I'd wonder, could I have saved us? If I'd been softer, more attentive, less consumed by the studio, would Marcus have stayed the man I loved? I remembered the early days, him sneaking me onto empty sets, kissing me under fake starlight, promising we'd make magic together. Was that all a lie, or did I push him away? Those thoughts gnawed at me, but then I'd see Olivia stir, hear her mumble "mom" in her sleep, and the doubts burned away. Forgiving Marcus wouldn't save us. It'd just give him another chance to stab me in the back. No way. Not happening. I met Miss Sterling again, this time alone, in her sleek downtown office. The city buzzed below, but up here it was all business. "File the divorce papers," I told her, my voice hard, "but don't serve them yet. I want to play this smart. Let them think they're winning." She raised an eyebrow, a rare smile tugging at her lips. "You're playing chess, not checkers," she said, and I nodded. Marcus and Lila were digging their own graves, and I'd make sure they fell in. My plan was simple. Let them keep scheming, keep slipping up, while we gathered every shred of evidence. When the time came, I'd hit them so hard they'd never see it coming. The anger kept me sharp, but the pain lingered. I'd loved Marcus, poured my soul into him, believed he was my partner in this crazy Hollywood game. Now, all I wanted was to see him pay. Not just for me, but for Olivia, for my family, for every sleepless night I'd spent doubting myself. "You thought you could play me, Marcus?" I muttered to myself, staring at the city lights from my office window. Big mistake. I wasn't just fighting to win. I was fighting to make sure they'd never forget who they crossed. This was my story, and I was done being the fool. The air in our LA mansion was thick with tension when Marcus came home that night. He strolled in, all smug confidence, like he still had me wrapped around his finger. I was waiting in the living room, the city lights glinting through the windows, casting shadows on the stack of papers I'd laid out on the coffee table, printouts from that hard drive Olivia found. He froze when he saw them, his eyes darting to me, then back to the evidence. "What's this, Eleanor?" he asked, his voice tight, trying to play it cool. I stood, slow and deliberate, my heart pounding but my face stone cold. "Olivia found it," I said, my voice low, sharp. "She's smarter than you, Marcus. Way smarter." His face went pale, his mouth opening to spew some excuse, but I cut him off. "Don't. I know everything." He stammered, a pathetic attempt at denial, but I saw it, the panic in his eyes. For the first time, he looked small, like the coward he was. Can you believe this guy? Thinking he could play me and walk away clean. I didn't confront him fully then. Not yet. I wanted him to squirm, to think he still had a chance to weasel out. The real stage was set for the Ashton Pictures charity gala, the biggest night of the year, where Hollywood's elite would gather under chandeliers and fake smiles. Marcus and Lila had the nerve to RSVP, probably thinking they could charm their way through, keep their little scheme under wraps. They didn't know I'd been planning, waiting, turning their own game against them. This was my turf, my spotlight, and tonight, I was the director. The gala was at the Beverly Hilton, a glittering sea of gowns and tuxes, the air buzzing with champagne-fueled gossip. I wore a sleek black dress, sharp as a blade, my hair swept up to show I meant business. Olivia stayed home with my parents, safe from the storm I was about to unleash. Marcus and Lila walked in arm in arm, all smug grins and practiced charm, mingling like they owned the place. Lila's red dress screamed for attention, and Marcus played the visionary director, shaking hands, tossing out sound bites about his next big project. I watched from across the room, sipping a martini, my pulse steady. They thought they were untouchable. They were wrong. The program began, and I took the stage to introduce the night's keynote, my voice smooth, commanding. The crowd hushed, eyes on me. I smiled, letting the moment build. "Before we continue," I said, pausing for effect, "there's something you all need to see." The massive screen behind me flickered to life. Gasps rippled through the room as emails flashed up. Marcus and Lila's private messages, their plot to smear Ashton Pictures, to steal Olivia, to drain our accounts. Then came the voice memos, Lila's smug voice scheming, Marcus laughing along. The final slide was a financial trail, undeniable proof of Marcus's embezzlement and gambling debts laid bare for all of Hollywood to see. I turned to Marcus, who stood frozen in the crowd, his face ashen. "Game over, Marcus," I said, my voice cutting through the silence. The room erupted. People whispered, phones came out, and the internet exploded. By morning, Deadline and Variety had the story plastered everywhere. Ashton heiress exposes director's betrayal at Gala. X was a war zone. Some called me ruthless. Others said I played it like a queen. "Eleanor Ashton just burned Hollywood down," one post read. I didn't care about the noise. I cared about Olivia, about justice. Marcus and Lila tried to slip out, but security was already there, escorting them to the exit as the crowd watched, stunned. I caught Lila's eye as she passed, her face twisted with rage and fear. Good. Let her feel it. When the applause started, I stepped off the stage, my heels clicking against the marble floor. The crowd parted, some nodding in respect, others whispering behind their hands. I felt their eyes, but I kept my head high. In a quiet corner, away from the chaos, I leaned against a wall, my breath shaky. The adrenaline was fading, and the pain crept back. Not for Marcus. I was done loving him. But for the life I'd believed in, the trust I'd given him. I remembered our first date, him sneaking me into a closed studio lot, kissing me under a fake moon. I'd thought it was real. Now I knew better. The victory was mine, but it wasn't sweet. It was bitter, heavy, like ash in my mouth. 3 days later, the FBI knocked on Marcus and Lila's doors. Embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy. The charges piled up like a house of cards collapsing. Their precious documentary was dead, their careers radioactive. Hollywood turned its back just like I knew it would. Nobody in this town bets on a losing horse, and Marcus and Lila were done. I stood in my office watching the news break on X, the headlines flashing across my phone. I should have felt triumphant, but there was this ache, this quiet hollow where love used to be. Not for him, but for the me who'd believed in us. I'd won, but at what cost? Olivia's face flashed in my mind, and I knew the answer. For her, it was worth everything. 6 months later, the dust has settled, but the scars remain. Marcus and Lila are tangled in a legal mess, facing charges that'll keep them in court for years. Embezzlement, fraud, the works. Their names are poison in Hollywood now, their careers buried under the wreckage they created. I don't follow the headlines anymore. I let my team handle the noise. I'm done wasting energy on them. Sitting in my office at Ashton Pictures, the familiar hum of the studio around me, I feel alive again. The desk is cluttered with new scripts, storyboards, pitches, fresh stories waiting to be told. For the first time in years, I'm excited. Not just for the work, but for me. The tabloids still churn out their garbage, calling me everything from a vengeful queen to a Hollywood martyr. My PR team swats it down like flies. I don't care what they say. I know who I am, and I'm standing tall. Olivia's my anchor. She's bouncing back, her smile brighter every day. We've got this routine now. Saturday mornings, we sprawl on the living room floor, watching Pixar flicks, laughing at the same jokes we've heard 100 times. Sometimes we read scripts together, her little voice narrating the action scenes with more drama than any A-lister. I don't tell her everything about her dad, not yet. She's only 8, and I want her to keep that spark in her eyes. But I've told her enough. How I fought for us, how I'll always protect her. One night, as we were curled up on the couch, she hugged me tight and whispered, "You're a superhero, Mom." I laughed, but my throat tightened. For her, I'd be anything. The pain hasn't vanished, it's just quieter now, like a bruise you forget until you press it. Yesterday, I was cleaning out a drawer in my bedroom when I found our wedding photo tucked under some old receipts. Marcus and I, young and grinning, the Santa Barbara cliffs glowing behind us. My first instinct was to rip it to shreds, let the pieces scatter like the lies he told. But I didn't. I slid it back into the drawer, out of sight. Not because I still love him. God, no. That's long gone. I kept it to remind myself how far I've come, how I walked through fire and didn't burn. That photo's not a memory of love. It's a trophy of survival. I used to think I couldn't live without Marcus. He was my partner, my muse, the one who'd make me laugh until my sides hurt. When I first found those emails, those voice memos, I was terrified. Not just of losing him, but of failing Olivia, of being the broken mother the world would pity. There were nights I'd lie awake, my mind screaming, "What if you're not enough?" The fear was suffocating, like drowning in a spotlight. But every morning, Olivia would wake up, her green eyes bright, her laugh pulling me back to shore. She's why I kept going, why I stood up when life tried to knock me down. I'm not perfect, but I'm enough for her, and that's all that matters. Hollywood's still the same circus. Glitz, gossip, and egos the size of the Walk of Fame. But I see it differently now. It's not my cage anymore. It's my stage. I don't need the industry's applause to feel whole. I've got Olivia, my family, and the fire in my gut that says I can rebuild, create, thrive. Ashton Pictures is buzzing again. New projects greenlit, new voices rising. I'm not just the heiress now. I'm the one steering the ship, and it feels damn good. The other day, a producer pitched me a script about a woman who rises from betrayal, and I smirked. "Been there," I said, and we both laughed. I'm not just living my story, I'm writing it. There's this moment I keep coming back to. Last week, Olivia and I were at the beach, the Malibu waves crashing soft and steady. The sun was setting, painting the sky in pinks and golds, like a scene from one of our studio's old romances. Olivia ran ahead chasing seagulls, her laughter mixing with the ocean's roar. I stood there, barefoot in the sand, watching her, and for the first time in forever, I felt light. Not happy, not yet, but free. The weight of Marcus, of the lies, of the fight, it was lifting. I wasn't the fool anymore. I was Eleanor Ashton, and I'd clawed my way back. Life's not a movie. There's no tidy fade to black, no perfect ending. But I don't need one. I've got Olivia's hand in mine, the salt air in my lungs, and a future I'm building with my own two hands. I've been hurt, betrayed, knocked down, but I'm still here, stronger than I ever knew I could be. This story, my story, isn't for Hollywood or the tabloids or anyone else. It's for me and my daughter, and we're writing the next chapter together. Let the world watch. I'm ready.